Welcome to Visions, a series of visits to almost everywhere. I'm your host and fellow traveler, Malsman. It is November 18th. It's a Saturday, November 18th, 2006. We're on the 8:40 a.m. train, New Jersey Central, New Jersey Transit, from North Elizabeth, New Jersey. That's where we're leaving now. We're heading to, we're going to get off at the Newark Penn Station, and then we're going to get on a Path Port Authority Trans-Hudson line and head from Newark Penn Station to New York City Penn Station. There we're going to walk up to 44th Street and meet up at the Producers Club Theater. At the Producers Club Theater, we're going to meet up with Kenny Kramer. He's the inspiration for Kramer on the Sein-Sodes series, the wildly popular Sein-Sodes series. His name is Kenny Kramer, and we're going to take the Kenny Kramer Reality Tour. It's getting a little noisy now, so I'm going to kind of fade out, and then we'll meet up in New York City. Again, we're going to the Producers Club Theater, and the address is, let me find it if I can, 358 West 44th Street, between 8th and 9th Avenue. With that said, let's fade out, and we'll see you in New York City for the Kenny Kramer Reality Tour. Let's fade.
Okay, welcome aboard, everybody. Can you hear me in the very back of the bus? Yes? You know what? I think I sound a little foggy. Can we do something about the treble? Maybe take the treble up. No, not that one. The next one. Not the volume. No, the volume up. Up on the volume. The next thing where it says bass and treble. Is there a setting for that? Yes, there should be. Okay, I know there is. Let's see. Yeah, there is.
No, it isn't real high.
This doesn't have bass or treble? It must. There it is. There's bass. Take the bass down a little. Down. A little bit up now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that any better? Okay, let's go to treble now. Bring the treble up. 1, 2, 3. Ah, there we go. Down a little. Down. Ah, perfect. Okay, is that better? Come on, humor me. It's better, right? Yeah. Okay. Welcome aboard, everybody. Say hello to my driver, Salvador. Super Salvador. Hey. He's filling in for my regular driver who can't be here, but they gave me a special deal. If I keep Sal as the driver, $50 less every tour. That's only until January when they reinstate his driver's license. We have a tradition every time that we do a tour. We always like to have a prominent New Yorker to welcome you to the tour. And so today shall be no different. A prominent New Yorker, if you look at your video monitors, would like to welcome you to Kramer's Tour.
It's a pleasure to welcome tourists and New Yorkers alike to Kramer's Reality Tour. As you know, the Seinfeld show takes place right here in the greatest city in the world. It was created by two native New Yorkers, Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David. I congratulate the real Kramer, Kenny Kramer, and Bobby Allen Brooks, also native New Yorkers, for starting this valuable entertainment and cultural venture. Here in the city, we have countless tour operators who will take you to the Statue of Liberty in the Empire State Building. But only on Kramer's Tour will you see the actual sites where scenes from the show took place. On the actual location where that infamous Junior Mint flew through the air. Or the place where the concert pianist lost her composure because of a Pez dispenser. As you know, I've appeared on the Seinfeld show myself, and possibly owe my victory on election night to Kramer's manipulation of the cholesterol levels in yogurt samples. Enjoy the tour.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. People have asked me how I got the mayor to do such a video, and it was really quite simple. I sent the fax to his appointment secretary. I got a phone call back. The mayor would love to, because, of course, he's a guy with a great sense of humor and a great Seinfeld fan, so he's a really cool guy. I like the mayor a lot. Anyway, to get things started, we're going to be pulling out now. One of the first sites I want to point out to you, fitting it should be the first site, is on the left-hand side of the bus, the Westway Diner, where that very first conversation about Seinfeld took place. It was in the first booth on the right, behind the register, that Larry said to Jerry, I got a great idea for a show, a whole show about nothing. That conversation took place right there on the left. On the right-hand side of the bus, for those of you guys who bought the DVDs, a lot of the locations are gone and missing, but I'll point them out anyway. For instance, this barbecue place used to be Camway Kitchen, where that Chinese delivery boy came to help Larry order that Chinese hair growing tonic. I hope you don't mind me pointing out places that aren't there, but I figure if it could be a show about nothing, it could be a tour that takes you to places that don't exist. So I figure that's fair game. That goes, yeah, we got to take a little of the volume, teeny bit off on the vocals here. Also, there's a clothing boutique over here. That used to be Joe's Fruits. Remember on the show, Kramer was barred for returning peaches? real life, Larry was barred from Joe's for squeezing. He was an inveterate fruit squeezer, and Joe told him, if you touch another piece of fruit that you don't buy, that's it, you're out of here. And Larry squeezed, and Joe threw him out. And even though he yelled and screamed, he would never sell Larry another piece of fruit. Larry does yell and scream a lot, but he has a sense of humor about it. He describes himself as having the worst two traits you could have simultaneously: a vicious temper accompanied by no guts. A horrible combination. Here's my building that I live in, Manhattan Plaza. This is the building right over here. This is the 9th Avenue building. I actually live at the end of the block in the 10th Avenue building in apartment 4M. I mention that because you're such a lovely group. I'm going to invite you to stalk me, okay? I don't get that much attention, so stalkers are welcome. As we turn right over here, why is this guy standing? Attaboy, tell him. As we turn right over here, on the left-hand side of the bus, this is called Theater Row. This is the heart of New York City's off-Broadway theater district. There were about 40 theaters on this block, but there are 2 blocks, but the second block was torn down, and the theaters will be put back in when they develop these buildings and put in these high-rises. Not that the developers are such great theater fans, but they have rules in New York that you get a variance. If you put a theater on the ground floor of your building, you can build an extra 5 stories. So theaters are all going back over here. Now, this is the heart of the off-Broadway theater district. New York, we have Broadway, off-Broadway, and off-Broadway, which has nothing to do with the distance to Broadway, has to do with the number of seats in the theater. Broadway theaters can have as many seats as they want. Off-Broadway is less than 500, and off-Broadway is less than 100, and that determines what you have to pay actors according to equity and the union for actors. When I moved into this neighborhood, there was no Theater Row here. This was actually a red light district. There was 2 blocks of just adult-related businesses: porno theaters, pawn shops, peep shows, dirty bookstores. Hookers were walking up and down these streets day and night, and I must tell you, I miss the old neighborhood. There was stuff going on over here, boy, I'll tell you. But now we have Theater Row. Anyway, this is the building that I live in right over here. If you look up there, you can see our tennis courts are under a bubble now for the winter. They're outdoor courts all summer. And there's a Manhattan Plaza Health Club where we have the 2 jacuzzis, the hot tub and the hot tub. And did they tell you this tour ends we all take a hot tub together? Yeah. Did you bring bathing suits? No, you don't need it. You know, we might not be on this bus today talking about Seinfeld if Larry hadn't had the opportunity to live in Manhattan Plaza, where he paid $67 a month rent on a $1,000 a month apartment, because had he had to go out and get a full-time job to support, you know, just his shelter, he may not have been able to pursue his career on a full-time basis, which would have certainly pleased his parents. You know, they were telling him all the time, Larry, forget about this comedy, nothing good can come from it, it's a life of poverty and rejection. Well, so far Larry has made in excess of $400 million on Seinfeld. And probably another $100 million on the DVDs coming his way, because unlike the rest of the cast, Larry and Jerry own 35% of the show. And the big money in television is what they call the back-end deal, the syndication. When Seinfeld first went into syndication, there were 180 episodes that sold for $3 million an episode. $3 million an episode, and Larry and Jerry split 35% of that. But 5 years later, the second cycle of syndication, which usually it's worth a third to a half less than the first cycle. But Seinfeld was so popular that it sold for double the second cycle what they got the first cycle. So they resold 180 episodes at $6 million an episode, and Larry and Jerry became fantastically wealthy. A lot of other people have been helped greatly by having lived in Manhattan Plaza. Alan Menken was an unknown piano player when he moved in, ended up winning an Academy Award, because he wrote the music for Little Mermaids. He also wrote the music for 2 other Walt Disney films. You know, it was just also some celebrities in the building. Angela Lansbury has had an apartment since the building opened. In fact, in 1977, when I get into an elevator, you know, Murder, She Wrote was the #1 show on television. I get into an elevator, and there's Angela Lansbury. So I said to you know, Miss Lansbury, don't take this the wrong way. I'm getting off on the next floor. Wherever you are, people turn up dead. She got a big kick out of that. If you look down the block on the left-hand side, there's a short brownstone here. When I moved to the neighborhood, that building was for sale. A friend of mine looked at it, decided it was not worth $85,000. That apartment, that little brownstone is probably worth $2.3 million. A tiny little studio apartment in some of these buildings around here getting $300,000, $400,000. This neighborhood is so gentrified in just a few short years. What's gone on around here? You know, the name of this neighborhood, anybody know what they used to call this area?
Hell's Kitchen.
Hell's Kitchen, exactly right. But it's no longer called Hell's Kitchen because of the gentrification. The prices have gone up. You feel like an idiot telling people you're living in Hell's Kitchen. So you now live in fashionable Clinton. And coincidentally, the neighborhood right below Clinton is called Chelsea. Chelsea Clinton, right over here on the west side of New York. I used to wonder why it was called Hell's Kitchen. I thought it was a lot of crime, violence near the waterfront, but not at all. The reason they called this neighborhood Hell's Kitchen goes back to the early 1800s. because the brick manufacturing industry was all clustered into this little neighborhood on the west side of New York. And part of the process of manufacturing bricks is they heat them in ovens. So all these brick makers had their ovens with the smoke coming out of them all over the neighborhood, and that's how the neighborhood became known as Hell's Kitchen. So you get all kinds of exciting information here. Let's pull up to the Chinese restaurant there. See if you can make that light. I know, you can try. Here's a little piece of trivia right out of my life. Coming up on the right is this, they just redid this. Look at that, they put a volleyball court in here. See, this neighborhood is just so gentrifying so quickly. Like, this was a rundown park full of crackheads like 10 years ago. And now, look at it, it's beautiful. It's got that sort of rubberized floor where the kids from the playground, they put up a volleyball net, they redid the handball courts, which were all graffitied up. They must have just reopened this park because I hadn't noticed it. But this whole neighborhood is just, it's amazing what's going on here, how these high-rises are just popping up everywhere you turn around. It's really a shame in a certain way because it's really wiping out all the mom-and-pop stores, you know. These mom-and-pop stores that were paying $3,000 a month rent on their lease, their lease is up and now the landlord wants $20,000 a month, you know, and they're out of business. Here's an interesting site right out of my life on the right-hand side of the bus. If you'll see the New Food King Chinese restaurant. Now, the New Food King Chinese restaurant, take it slow. The New Food King Chinese restaurant here happens to be owned by a family whose surname is Fu. F-O-O is the name of the family that owns the New Food King Chinese restaurant. And the reason I know that is when they first opened up, that wasn't the original name of the place. If you look at your video monitors now, you will see the original front of that place, and you'll see that originally it was named for the family. It was called the Fu King Chinese restaurant. Now, when they first opened up, and I'm walking by looking at this place, thinking to myself, the Fu King Chinese restaurant. I'm going, guess what? There's a Chinaman in here. There's a Chinaman in here with a sense of humor. So I went in, I ordered some lo mein, and I said to the guy, you have a lovely place here, but how did you come up with the name for this place? He says, oh, my family, the Fu family, this name for my family business. And so I left there, laughing my butt off, realizing this guy did not have a fucking clue as to what was going on with the name of this place. I used to think about people at home ordering food. What do you want to do for lunch today, honey? I don't know. Let's get the menu, if not fucking Chinese restaurant. Well, after a couple of years, the canopy wore out, and by then, he caught on to what was going on with this play of words, and he changed the name of the place, nearly costing me a great joke. But fortunately, I still have the video. Yeah, now I mentioned before, that I have a stage version of this tour that I travel with called Kramer on Seinfeld, and you know, I get around the country pretty good. I play a lot of colleges, and I really love doing it. They treat me great. Why isn't this thing ejecting? Oh. Okay, I got it. Yeah. You know, they treat me great. They pay me a lot of money to play these colleges, but the trouble I have is I have yet to be booked at the University of Miami or the University of Hawaii. In the last year, I've been to Ames, Iowa, Hastings, Nebraska, Greensboro, North Carolina. I've been to Pittsburgh, Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, you know, places that aren't exactly on the tourist map. And you know, I do an 8 o'clock show. I'm back at my hotel, and I usually, when I'm on the road in these gigs like in Ames, Iowa, I like to stay at the only 5-star hotel around, which is usually a Super 8. And you know, it's 10 o'clock at night, I'm hungry, but the restaurant closed at 9. So I find myself standing in front of a vending machine trying to figure out what to have for dinner, which is so unlike the way it is where I live on 43rd Street. I have a drawer full of menus. I can get pretty much any cuisine you can imagine delivered to my door pretty much round the clock. But of all these restaurants, I gotta tell you, the Chinese restaurants are so fast. I'm telling you, I have at least 5 restaurants in the neighborhood. Any one of them, I pick up a phone, I order a Chinese meal, I hang up the phone. In 8 minutes, that food is being delivered to my door. And I'm not exaggerating, it happens that quickly, which I find amazing, particularly if you view this in light of the fact that in this town it takes 9 minutes to get a cop and 11 minutes to get an ambulance. Yet you can have Chinese food cooked and delivered in only 8 minutes. So when I had occasion to meet the mayor, I called this to his attention. I said, you know, your mayor, it takes 9 minutes to get a cop and 11 minutes to get an ambulance in this town. He says to me, that's not bad, is it? I said, when you consider I get Chinese food cooked and delivered in only 8 minutes, it's not so good. So I said, Mayor, I have an idea of what you should do for the health and safety of New York. You get these Chinese delivery guys, give them guns and teach them CPR. And then the city could be a lot safer. And if you have to go to the hospital, you could have some beef and broccoli along the way. Evidently thought I was kidding, but if you ever see the armed Chinese delivery guys, you know it means I am now mayor of New York. Now, speaking of hospitals, the cast, which seems pretty healthy, actually ends up in the hospital an ordinary number of times. And the hospital they usually end up in is right here on the left. It's called Roosevelt Hospital. Now, whenever you saw Roosevelt Hospital on Seinfeld, they always depict it by showing you an establishing shot of a Red Cross sign on the corner. That was the old emergency room that was torn down 15 years ago. But Seinfeld continued to use it to establish Roosevelt Hospital, where a number of things happened on the show. For instance, it was here at Roosevelt Hospital the baby Seven was born. It was here at Roosevelt Hospital that Jerry caused his friend Fulton to croak because he told him a very funny job and convulsed him in his hospital bed. It was here that George came to get Marissa Tomei's phone number. This is where Kramer saved the pig man. This is where the psychiatric patient jumped off the roof and landed on George's car. This is where Kramer had to rip that birthday card out of that little kid's hand because Paul O'Neill technically did not hit 2 home runs. But the most famous incident to take place here, who could tell me?
Oh, that was
Susan.
The Junior Mints. This man has it right here. Congratulations. Guess what? You have won Junior Mints, not just for yourself, but for everyone on the bus. Junior Mints for everyone. They're cool,
Everybody's
they're
going
refreshing,
to
they're
get
free.
cool and refreshing and free. Junior mints for everyone. Holy cow, look at this. We got a box of Junior mints.
What's that? Yeah, okay. Yeah, go slowly. Go up the street.
Okay, we're all getting Junior mints.
I'm going to be the first to say you're welcome.
I had thought it was Susan licking the toxic envelopes, but no, the Junior mints. Okay, you're listening to Visions, a series of visits to almost everywhere. I'm your host and fellow traveler, Herb Malsman. We're on the Kramer Reality Tour. We're visiting some of the sites. I'm sure we're going to get to Tom's Restaurant, head uptown a little bit, and that's what's happening. This, by the way, is going out to as a gift from Visions. It is exclusively for the Library of Congress, National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped, Jim Harrington and the folks, the good folks in Washington, D.C., 1291 Taylor Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C., the NLS. It's going to be sent on, mastered, sent on to you, and then the Library of Congress will send them on to libraries in your country. It is a donation. I hope you'll like these programs. Earlier on, we did Yankee Stadium, and we'll be doing New York Stock Exchange.
Okay, for those of you who don't recall, this episode of Junior Mint episodes, an episode, one of Elaine's ex-boyfriends, the Triangle guy, is laying in the hospital terminally ill. And he's about to die. George figures this guy's about to die. It'd be a great time to buy a piece of art because he'll die and the value of the art will go up. Instead, he invites Jerry and Kramer to watch him have surgery. It was during the course of the operation that Kramer went to give Jerry that Junior Mint that floated through the air, landed in his chest. Doctor doesn't see it. They sew him up. Much to George's chagrin, the guy recovers, but there's a strange smell of mint around him wherever he goes. And you know what? I'm going to make this a trivia contest. I have a great prize today. Yes, for the first person who could yell out and tell me what operation was going on when the Junior Mint floated through the air.
Gallbladder.
No, appendix. What was a spleen?
Okay, he got it on the third shot. It was a spleenectomy.
Huh.
Yes, indeed. And I have a great prize for you today. A fan sent me a dozen of these.
Spleen. You're going to get a spleen.
A fan sent me a dozen of these. No, it's not a spleen. But I had a dozen of these. I decided I'd give away 6 as a trivia prize, and I keep 6 for myself. I haven't looked on the internet. It might be worth something. You are now the proud owner. You ready for this? New York Yankee Jake Buhner rookie card.
All right. Holy cow. No, I should have said spleen. Okay. Jay Bruno's.
Hey, on the right, this is the Henry Hudson Hotel. Ian Schrager's hotels are all anonymous. No marquee, no number on the door, nothing. But it's one of the most fantastic lobbies you'll ever see. It's amazing what that lobby is.
A splenectomy. Okay, so we're moving along. Let me give you an idea where we are now. We're heading
Okay, on the left-hand
east
side
right
of the
now.
bus, the Time Warner Building. One of New York's largest, the newest high-rises, holds all the assets of Warner Brothers and Time, Warner Communication, AOL, CNN, Court TV. They're all located there. There's a lobby full of great stores.
We're at 8th Avenue.
And it has a great mall full of high-end stores like Coach and Chanel, and downstairs in the
58th
basement, Whole
Street.
Foods. The whole bottom floor is the Whole Foods store. It's a great place to go and have a snack or something.
I'm pretty sure
Really
we're
cool.
going to be heading left and we'll be heading
Now,
into
for those of
Columbus
you who came here
Circle.
from Connecticut or Jersey and you're driving here and you see signs on the road
We're
about
looking
how
at
many
Central
miles it is
Park.
to New York, did you ever wonder what they're talking about? You know, if you're like coming down, like say you're in Bridgeport and it says like 35 miles to New York City, do they mean like the other side of the bridge that brings you into New York? Or if you're coming up from Jersey, they mean the other side of the Holland Tunnel? You know, how many miles? You ever wonder what they mean?
Yeah.
It's right here. We're going to turn left, you'll be in Columbus Circle, which is considered the geographical center of New York City. So anytime you see how many miles to New York, this is precisely the part of New York to which they are referring.